We want to start off today with kind of what some of our more popular streams have been the deep dive into very specific topics with guests. And one of our favorite ones that we did that we wanted to bring back in the beginning of this stream was, go ahead, Danny.
Cartoons.
Yeah.
We specifically said Saturday morning cartoons, but I don't think I got up that early. Saturday morning cartoons sort of, that I feel like that kind of went away a little bit into my childhood.
Yep.
Like it all of a sudden was like Sunday nights and
yes,
things like that. But
well, and we also discovered throughout that time, and we'll talk about it with our guests who are now in the waiting room. I can see them. There's an age demographic, a very definitive change in times where Saturday mornings were definitively cartoons. And then as you get through the 90s and into the 2000s, the Saturday mornings started becoming Sunday nights, as you said. And then it just became, with Netflix era. And now it just became, well, cartoons anytime.
Yep, for sure. Right?
So yeah, there's a lot to deep dive here. Should we bring in some of our guests here?
Yeah, we don't want to be rude.
No, not at all. Matt Dunn. We are a bunch of beauties. You're absolutely right. Well,
50% of us.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
So the question is, who do I bring in first here? Well, CK was here first. So
Stamata wants to leave him waiting.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll leave waiting there.
You want to fill him with confidence too fast.
Oh, and a side note, we're streaming right now on Twitch and we're streaming on Facebook simultaneously. So there'll be some chat happening between them both, and we'll try to obviously address both. Throughout the next 24 hours. Okay, so to start off here, I'm going to introduce my buddy Courtney. Courtney Clausen is his name. He a math teacher, amongst many other things. In BC here. He's one of my favorite guys, and I'm really happy that two of my favorite guys are actually here out of the three people.
Oh, nice.
And I haven't talked to Courtney in a while. I miss him, and I'm stoked about having him included. Him and I talked about doing a podcast many moons ago, and I feel like that should happen regardless. So without any further ado, here comes Courtney Clausen. Oh, wait. Unmute yourself.
Yep.
Oh, no. There we go.
Myself like that?
Yes. There you go.
Here we are.
Hey.
We made it.
Hey, I made it.
Courtney, say hello. Introduce yourself. What's going on?
Hi,
I'm wearing.
I got the email said we were supposed to wear onesies.
Oh, that was for another event.
Yeah. That was for the fishbowl party you guys are going to later.
We are. Totally right. Yep.
Oh, should I?
No.
Should I take it off?
That would be even more awkward.
I might as well be wearing a onesie for that.
You're gonna need one. 24 hours. Damn, son.
Okay, so Courtney's here. Let's move on.
Hi, Danny. It's nice to meet you, by the way.
You too, man, for sure.
Courtney,
good to be here. Thanks, Paul.
Courtney and I used to play in a band together called A Sheep at the Wheel. He's the lead singer. He was also in another band with me where this person was in the band as well.
Ooh.
And can we guess who this is?
I have a guess. Is it FB?
It's FB. Here comes the famous Ferdy Belland.
Ferdy!
Ferdy, there you are, bud. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing quite well, man. Ferdy,
awesome. Hey, Courtney, how's it going?
Doing great, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys, for sure. Thank you for having me today. For sure, this is going to be fun. I understand we're going to be combining intellects and discussing the merits of Saturday morning cartoons and cartoons in general.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do.
Nice.
Nice. Well, welcome. Ferdy is a historian. He knows the nooks and crannies of just about everything on planet Earth, for that matter.
Nice. I know.
Well,
I mean, when you got a head this big, you cram it with all sorts of desiderata. You know what I'm saying?
Well, things have been known to spill.
In there.
Oh, and I can see in the waiting room that our other guest has taken lead or taken the steps of Courtney here.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. So
were we all supposed to wear onesies? Really? Did I miss the memo somewhere?
no, there's no memo.
No.
No, I just figured I'm never getting invited back. So I had to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Terrible. I'm gonna add AJ to the stream.
Hey,
What up?
how's it going? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Right on.
AJ used to work at Walmart. AJ and I we used to work at Walmart together. That was how we met. And he was the king of the electronics department.
I ruled over it with an iron fist.
And our friendship was born basically of talking about essentially what we're about to talk about today, among many other things. But we used to have a tradition called Drunk Thursdays. Because we didn't of course we worked at Walmart, so we worked on the weekends, so our weekends started on Thursdays, and we would watch Transformers.
Oh God!
Every time they transformed, we would drink. And I don't know if you guys remember the original Transformers show, but they would
you'd have to drink to watch the original Transformers show.
Well, they would transform, drive 3 feet, and then transform again.
You're just sitting there, you're like, oh.
So we all woke up in the morning after like 3 episodes, I think. So
we just kind of woke up. It was back at like the DVD menu. And we're like, what the fuck happened? It's like 9 a.m. Yeah, it was good.
For sure.
Well, welcome to the stream, everybody. Ferdy is certainly relaxed. I like it. I've got my coffee. We are going to relax here. We keep it super relaxed. There's no real agenda, folks. We're more reminiscing about times, and if anybody knows us, we really embrace tangents. We're very okay with taking side steps down rabbit holes and just talking about stuff.
Digression with aggression.
Oh, I like that. Yes. So
aggressive side steps.
You're absolutely right. I was mentioning before that we are all of different demographic and different age. Back when we did this original stream, we discovered very quickly that my Saturday morning cartoons were very different than Danny's Saturday morning cartoon.
100%,
He was a little younger than me, and
because he's a child.
He's a boy. But I would say, Ferdy, no offense, I think you're a little older than myself, and
I'm 49.
Yeah. So you're a little older than me. You got it. So you lived through a little bit of a different time with Saturday morning cartoons. You want to tell us a little bit about when you were a kid?
Yeah, so I was a little kid in elementary school during the 1970s, right? And so at that time, we were living up in a small town in northern BC called Hudson's Hope. My dad used to be an engineer for BC Hydro. He was working on the Bennett Dam. But here's the deal. We had television, but in the 1970s in northern BC, the only television stations that we got were either CBC or the CTV affiliate out of Edmonton. And of course, however, I knew from buying Marvel comics off of the stand down at the supermarket in Fort St. John, the city, you'd have these full page color advertisements for all of the Saturday morning cartoons that were being run by ABC and CBS and NBC, the big American stations that we didn't get. Because again, this was in the years before comprehensive cable packages. So of course, I knew this stuff existed and I was frothing at the fucking mouth because, I wanted to watch fucking Scooby and Scrappy Doo, God damn it. And I was being fucking cheated. So what I would do is that our old TV at the time, it had one of those big clunky 13 channel dials, right? So it was like a pickup selector on a Gibson EB3 bass. And so what I would do is that, me being smart, I would just calibrate all 13 channels. So I had 6 channels would be dialed into CBC and 6 channels would be dialed into CFRN out of Edmonton. But even so, at that time, the Saturday morning cartoons that I saw were like, the Mighty Hercules and Rocket Robin Hood and and the old 60s Spider-Man, and Max, the 2,000-year-old mouse, and stuff like that. However, the glory days began for me when my dad got transferred by BC Hydro in 1981 to move down south to the sprawling metropolis of Revelstoke, where he began work on the Revelstoke Dam. And it was there in 1981 when all of a sudden my pop culture loving brain got oversaturated with the fact that we had a comprehensive cable package, which also included... So not only did I get, like WGN out of Chicago and WOR out of New York, I also got Superstation WTBS, and I also got MTV when MTV first was on the air. So you want to talk about a huge cargo cult explosion of pop culture. Yeah. Like, I had a lot of catching up to do. And that's when, now I could dedicate my Saturday mornings to 6 fucking hours of grainy animated cartoons. And so at that time, it was the Super Friends, and it was Thundar the Barbarian, which was my personal favorite. And it was still a few years before G.I. Joe came on and just changed the whole fucking game.
Yeah.
So
but now you're crossfading, especially when you get into G.I. Joe. That was the time that was prime for myself. You know what I mean? And Courtney.
Well, this is the thing. I had basically a 2-year window to watch, Space Ghost, and to watch, the Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids and all that sort of stuff. And I would tune out on stuff, like Richie Rich, all that Harvey Toon stuff was just shit. There's I wrote that off the way I wrote off Archie comics as being beneath my station. But but here's the deal, like when all of a sudden the early to mid 80s began, then all of a sudden you had G.I. Joe and you had the Transformers, even Danger Mouse, and all that sort of stuff. And this is the deal, those are still the waning years where it wasn't, nowadays, hell, you can be 49 years old and you can watch Teletoons all fucking day, and you're not going to get fired from your job, and and your girlfriend's not going to leave you. It's a case where back then, you were still kind of saying, well, geez, I want to be taken seriously as a fucking adolescent. So so I started tuning out around 84, 85. But then, of course, and then things again, like when the 90s came, when you had the modern animation Genesis explosion, as I call it.
Precisely.
That's when you had stuff like Teletoons and YTV, and
they actually saw children as a marketable audience because they could align toys as well, right?
That's what it was all about.
And you got to think me, being 10 years old in 1981, and all of a sudden, catching up on all the Saturday morning cartoon stuff, and again, tugging at my dad's, plaid work shirt, saying I need more 8-inch Miko action figures, and when the hell's the Christmas wish book coming? And all this stuff.
Man, the wish book.
Now I have a toy box, which is literally the dimensions of a human coffin, which is loaded with all sorts of toys, new from the Star Wars collection, and all of that. And and a lot of it is from the fact that every Saturday morning from 6:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m., I'd be flipping back and forth between now, half a dozen different stations. And it helped make me the man I am today.
The man inside me.
Wow.
Great summary, Ferdy. And you're absolutely right. The 70s, you hit mark, I think, as you were talking, we were all nodding during the times that were, substantial to us. Right as you said, G.I. Joe, I'm like, yep, that was my era, or the Flintstones or anything like that. And then the moment that you were mentioning the 90s and the explosion of YTV, I saw Danny and AJ start to nod. Yeah. Those were epic times. And so, the surgence of things like the Hanna-Barbera series, like anything like Barbera. AJ, did you experience any of that? Like you're younger than
100%.
Yeah. How old? Oh,
I'm a year older than Danny.
Yeah.
So, mid 30s now, wearing a Dragon onesie on a Saturday, talking about cartoons.
Yeah.
So it's a good life. It's a good life. But like Hanna-Barbera, I remember them being on YTV as like reruns, like the Flintstones and Jetsons were huge. I watched those all the time. And then like getting into stuff like Yogi Bear was just, and it was like they were shows where I was never like, oh, I gotta wake up and watch them.
Right.
But if they were on the TV, I'm never gonna turn them off because I'm sitting there just like laughing my ass off on the living room floor.
That's how I feel about Seinfeld. Actually, I don't think I've ever watched. Like I've never been like, I have to watch it. It's just if it's on, I'll keep it on.
Yeah, the power of syndication, because like Transformers is my favorite cartoon from any time of the planet, but I never watched it when they came out. I was too young, so it's just syndication, right? So,
well, Ferdy hit it right. That when I was in school, I remember waking up and there was a window of time between like 7 and 8:30. There was G.I. Joe, Transformers, and like Mask or something like that was on, and then there was a lunchtime that everybody knew that the kids were coming back for to grab lunch at home, so between 11:30 and 1, and then then at nighttime, that small window of time before the sitcom era kicked. And I'm thinking, like, Courtney, you're a school teacher in particular. Do your kids, any of your kids, kind of have this gravitation towards specific cartoons or trying to catch?
You know what? Yeah. The show that is huge right now, and I get it, but I kind of don't get it because again, for them it's an old show. But Family Guy, they freaking love Family Guy, and they'll have like they're just watching on Netflix and or wherever it's on, and they're just like streaming nonstop at lunchtime, just watching Family Guy. I'm like, dude, that's 20 years old. You're watching Family Guy,
right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, maybe that's the same deal as AJ was saying. AJ was watching Hanna-Barbera stuff on reruns, and now maybe it's cool to watch Family Guy again. But
it feels like the difference is like what. And I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but when we were watching that stuff on reruns, that was because it was watch that stuff on reruns or don't watch anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I've seen every episode of the Flintstones probably 30 times because every day at 12 o'clock the Flintstones was on, and you watched it, and you saw the Great Gazoo. All that whole run of episodes 30 times, and you saw Pebbles is Born and Bam Bam and the whole deal, and Mr. Slate looks this way one time, and then the next time he's got like the rectangular head, and you're like, well, how does Mr. Slate look different? I don't understand here, but
amazing.
That's cool.
No, you're right. Huh.
Yeah, you bring up a funny point about like how like we were forced to watch television, like certain episodes. Like I wonder how cable companies kind of handle that now, because before it was so easy for a show to be successful because they just basically just like ram it up your butt the whole time.
Well, they can't do that now because again, like I heard on CBC just yesterday, like the CRTC is trying to shove these regulations onto Netflix and all that kind of stuff because again, the terrestrial TV stations and TV networks are now finally feeling the terror of the online crunch. And, it's an on-demand world now. I mean, again, like when I was, being a 10-year-old kid, I had no choice. There was a window of opportunity which only came once, and I couldn't press pause on my TV. I had to sit my ass down in front of the living room TV on Saturday mornings, and I had to stay there.
Yeah.
And I hope to God that when I took a bathroom break, I'd finish pissing before I could go back, and watch the Jetsons or whatever I was watching at the time. Whereas now, again, now like there's so much online option available, and it's all on demand. That again, like the old school, like the archaic, anachronistic terrestrial options are just fading away. It's your dad's cartoons.
Well, and that's really funny you say that because I was just about to say, Inspector Gadget, like those are all times. And Jarfish even said like Gummy Bear. Dragon
Gummy Bears.
Gummy Bears was crazy.
Like I got a huge list in front of me.
Here comes the little.
Yeah, I've got a huge list in front of me of all the cartoons that we we were looking at, or we were looking at even last stream. But you brought up a great point that Family Guy is your dad's cartoons, right? It's kind of like when kids listen
The
to
Simpsons are your dad's cartoons.
Yeah. When I hear that kids are like, when somebody's like, oh, my kid loves AC/DC, I'm like, that's not his music. Okay.
As they should.
Yeah.
AC/DC is all is AC/DC.
That's a topic for another discussion.
My kids sing a lot of Queen.
Yeah, Queen is a whole other story. For
that just means that you're doing progressive parenting,
right?
Ferdy and Courtney and I were in a Queen tribute band together.
Were we ever?
Yeah, quite. Both were good
Can
times.
anybody find us somebody to love?
These days, no.
Yeah, no. But what I was getting at is exactly that. Your parents' cartoons. What can anybody think of in this group of old boys here? What is a cartoon right now that some 6-year-old is loving, that is their generation, that is their thing right now?
Do not want to talk about goddamn Paw Patrol or Bubble Guppies. No.
Baby Shark, Baby Shark,
And we only know that maybe the toys. Maybe we know it because of the marketing.
No, because I have a 6-year-old and I have to watch that crap every day.
That's right.
Actually, the one I don't
again, like a lot of it's like,
Paw Patrol is over.
Yeah,
I guess again, like Paul, to kind of answer your question, I mean,
yeah.
Speaking for myself, I'm just old and out of touch, right? Like I don't know what the modern trending cartoons are, right?
Ninjago.
It's like I'm too busy trying to finally sit down and watch Akira for the first time, right?
Yeah, good.
And all the again talking about the explosion of animation around the world, blah blah blah. It's nice to know that animation is like a universally accepted thing. It's nice. I mean, as it really has been for 30 years, I would say, as far as just being casually shoulder shrugging accepted by most demographics. Yeah. Like it's funny when you mention like what are your parents' cartoons? Well, shit, my parents, like my dad used to tell me stories about how he would go to the movie theaters in the 1950s when the Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny reels would be the opening slot before he would watch, The Blob, or watch, The Creature from the Black Lagoon or whatever, that sort of thing. Or Tom and Jerry, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So as far as like it's weird to know, like it all comes full circle. Yeah, what are your parents' cartoons? Yeah, you're right. It's hard to believe. Yeah, Family Guy is a 20-year-old cartoon. The Simpsons have been on for 30 fucking years, right? Like, pretty crazy. And like
it's still pumping. Like it's still awesome and quotable. And
is it?
Are you sure? Sure about that?
Yeah. I haven't watched The Simpsons in a long time.
And again, like it's weird too. Like nowadays, like I wonder like where the future trends are going to go, because again, with
Futurama.
just how
Futurama is so good.
Yeah, it's going to be more like adult, like graphic novel sort of type animation, I would think. But as far as like joyful, children-oriented stuff too. I mean, now just with how sophisticated CGI has become over the past 30 years, and where does animation stop and CGI begin, and it's all like like one and the same, and like
I can tell you where CGI starts.
Well, you literally
broke down your heart.
I wrote down your heart that I wanted to.
I like how you're going like that, because reboot.
Reboot.
I missed out on reboot.
My niece and my nephew. Oh, sorry, Courtney, you were going to say something. Go for it.
No, go ahead with that. I've got like 3 different tangents. I feel like I could go off on. So, but go ahead with that.
Right where you are right now. My niece and my nephew just watched, and they're 7 and 8. They just watched Roger Rabbit for the first time.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, we just watched
and
Space
that's a
Jam
33-year-old movie.
Oh, Space Jam's so good.
Dude,
I had never seen it.
It's scary.
I've never seen Space Jam.
Roger Rabbit scared the hell out of them.
Oh,
really?
Roger Rabbit's terrifying, man.
What? Because the flying knives, or what's going on? Like,
at the very end. Remember when
he's like melting?
Whoa, spoilers! I haven't seen Roger Rabbit either.
Oh, you should watch it.
And this is probably a bit of one of my tangents that I could go off on.
Yeah.
Well, spoiler alert: Christopher Lloyd at the end is really frightening. He's super frightening.
Does he go back in time?
No. Wrong movie.
No.
Wrong movie. But he's really terrifying at the end, enough that my 9-year-old niece was like nightmares. That was a scary movie for her. And I think at the time, maybe we were used to seeing, Bugs Bunny being hit over the head with an anvil all the time. Do we think cartoons are a little bit more tame now because they're controlled a little bit more by the large corporations?
I think there's more of a division between kids cartoons and adult cartoons now, though. Like before, like the Warner Brothers stuff needed to appeal to kind of both audiences. They had one time slot, but now you've got, Adult Swim for all the crazy shit that you want for adults. And then you got Saturday morning for kids.
Yeah.
Maybe not on Adult Swim, but yeah, it exists.
Yes. Yeah. There's dedicated.
Well, it's funny like how you mentioned that, AJ. It's like because I mean, me being a huge Warner Brothers fan, it's like all of those classic Warner Brothers reels were designed for adult audiences, right? Because there was all sorts of like adult pop culture jokes that were being flung around, and of course like a lot of it is all whatever politically incorrect now, and you can't, you're not allowed to, enjoy it in polite company anymore, but it's like but
there's nothing casual about casual racism.
Except if you watch reruns of All in the Family.
Thanks, Mom, the content.
But it's like
right.
Where was I going with this? It's like nowadays you're right. Like anything goes, and so you have different levels of sophistication going from like the more infantile, children-oriented, like baby shark all the way up to the tentacles of the hentai. And all shades of the spectrum in between.
Yeah. You got a clip we can show?
Yeah. Yikers.
Yes.
I think you're right. There
are still some cartoons, like kids shows cartoons that are on that have some of those adult jokes that I really do appreciate. They throw in a lot of that stuff, and you go like, oh, there's something for me in this.
Well, that's very common for like Pixar movies and
I love the Pixar movies.
Yeah, and
I was gonna say before too,
right?
Like Toy Story 1 is your dad's cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Toy Story's been around forever, right?
96 or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know if it was a series that caught on. Like Tanya's never seen any of them. I've seen one or two of them. I haven't watched the last one.
Oh, they're great. They're all good.
Yeah.
I know what they are, but maybe that's the deal is I haven't really sat down to watch, a Pixar film in a while. Now that I think about it, but.
Yeah.
My favorite Pixar
if I didn't have kids, I'd probably.
Yeah, Wall-E is a little too real for you. Yeah. That's what it's like.
Wall-E's good though. I liked it.
Wow. And Courtney was about to say something interesting. If he didn't have kids, maybe you wouldn't be watching half as much as you are.
No, for sure, right? Like I wouldn't have seen Ninjago, for instance, or the Toy Story movies. Like we went a year ago, back in the long ago, when you could go to a movie theater and watch a movie with people. Back when we went and saw the new Toy Story movie, and I was Forky for Halloween, and like we just
nice. Yeah.
I got booed. Nobody likes Forky. No love for Forky.
Oh man.
Yeah, a tough crowd. Boom. Yeah. So lots of references like that and stuff. And even there's a really annoying Lego one. Like I like Ninjago, but there's another one, Nexo Knights. But there's an episode of Nexo Knights where there is a Black Knight. And the Nexo Knights characters are trying to fight against him, and they cut off his arm, and it's Monty Python, and they just take all the lines from Monty Python, and they've got this, and my son is like, "Daddy, look at this! It's so funny because they cut off his arm, and then they cut off his other arm," and I'm like, I know this, so we go watch it, and he's like, "Isn't this great?" I'm like, "All right, son, we have to watch another movie."
Yeah. I need to introduce you to Tim.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Tim.
Really funny. I do remember being younger and watching a couple of cartoons, and there was reference to Cheech and Chong, and my dad was just like, he caught a couple of them, And that's when the whole topic of Cheech and Chong came up. So the same type of situation.
Yep,
You
100%.
past in order to get, the older folks involved. Maybe that's the deal why Kanye and everybody is sampling all the 70s and the 60s music, is to hit the nostalgia of the older folk to get them in, right?
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
So,
or maybe just have better taste and they don't want to, sample Chumbawamba.
well, hey, that's a good.
I would love for someone to sample
arguing about this.
Careful what you wish for.
Here it is, your Retrologist challenge of the day: sample Chumbawamba. Hashtag Chumbawamba sample.
Jesus wept.
Yeah. So major tangents there. So that was my so Ferdy talked a bit about his younger growing up, being a kid watching cartoons, and Courtney, you're about my age, correct? So we have the same.
I'm 44.
Yeah, so we're about the same age. So we grew up within the same spiel of cartoons. We probably had the similar type thing. So I'm sorry if I'm going to skip over you slightly, but I'm really curious about Danny and AJ. What was your, you're not that much younger, but you are in a different spectrum. What was your patterns waking up and on a standard Saturday morning type thing?
It was pretty much wake up, bowl of cereal, plant myself in front of the TV for a solid 3 or 4 hours, and then be forced to do activities I didn't want to do.
That sounds about right. What was the cartoons back then?
Oh man, I feel like the list is just massive. Like I could just sit here streaming stuff off, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
My Little Pony, Strawberry Shortcake.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I watched everything a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like there was just definitely like the ones that stand out are like Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the real Ghostbusters. And I got to designate that it's the real Ghostbusters because that's the official title because of a Canadian TV show called The Ghostbusters that would not give up the rights, and good for them for not giving them up. But yeah, and then all like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, She-Ra, Princess of Power,
Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah,
Josie and the Pussycats. Freaking yeah. I mean, I don't know if they were Saturday morning, but like, and it was crazy because you'd be like, do I want to watch Fox? Do I want to watch ABC? I guess we had the comprehensive cable package growing up by default. And it was always just like, I was stressed about what to watch. And I don't know if anyone else did this, but I would have 2 TVs going. One would be upstairs with the VCR recording on. My mom gave me like a cassette and she's like, you can use this over and over and over again to like record your cartoons. So upstairs would be on like ABC recording like whatever was on there. And then I'd be downstairs like Fox, and that would be like Spider-Man and X-Men and stuff. So I'd watch that real time and then go grab the VCR tape later.
So cool. The Spider-Man series and the Batman series. And
Batman.
Those are, pivotal moments for us, I think.
Well, I was going to say, I think I remember you guys talking about it, or at least Danny and I talking about it previously with like the reboot series or Beast Wars, right?
Yeah. The CG stuff.
We started getting CG into the 90s. And it's very important to know that the reason cartoons are so popular now is because they utilize a lot of 3D animation software to develop them. That's why it's so easy to make cartoons these days. Like programs like South Park are using almost
completely
CGI. They're 3D modeled paper guys walking around, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they're able to make it easy. But it wasn't so easy in the 90s. One of my favorite anecdotes about the Beast Wars series was that they had to decide whether or not they would have pretty environments or pretty characters, because the computing power of computers back then was good enough. So the fucking Transformers look so badass when they transform, and they're literally like the backgrounds look like the Windows XP wallpaper.
Yeah,
like nice.
So good, but with less texture. They're just like blobs of rock.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
But I think for us, a big thing for me was like the cartoon like sitcoms that started to show up, which is like The Simpsons, King of the Hill.
King of the Hill I didn't appreciate as a kid. I did not.
Man,
I was like, I don't like this.
over there, man.
The animation I didn't like. It wasn't like cartoony enough for me. But then as an adult, rewatching it as an adult, I'm like, fuck, this show is the best. This is the best.
What Tanya and I, we always
Samantha's in the background just saying she loves that show.
Yeah. We started watching it because it was on at like 11:30 at night, and it was on, and we always stay up late to begin with, and it just became a thing that we'd always watch King of the Hill, and then Star Trek Voyager was on right afterwards. So
I remember that. Yeah.
that was our window of hour before bed that we always watched, and we never thought we'd be King of the Hill people, but both Tanya and I quote King of the Hill all the time. It's really fun show.
I love that show. King of the Hill is awesome, I think.
Well, I think it's a really interesting show to watch now because like they sort of paint Hank in the show as like a typical like Republican, but the important difference is that he's a genuinely good person. Like he's just trying to make it through the world, through his understanding and everything. And I feel like the picture that's painted as like a Republican nowadays is far fucking worse. And I think it's important to. I think it's a good watch now to realize that yes, most people who are conservative are real people that are not psychopaths. So. I really think
about Hank,
King of the Hill is the magic that America needs to heal right now.
Yes.
Yeah. I think something happened. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I always loved Hank though because he would be confronted with some situation that was so outside of his worldview, and he'd have that freak out, and then he would calm down, and they would explain it to him, and there'd be shenanigans, but he would grow, and maybe he won't be like, yeah, you know what, I totally hear you, and I'm flipping over to your side, and I'm going to do things your way. But he'd be like, I hear you. Now please get out of my house. Kind of thing.
He wasn't going to go march at the Pride Parade, but he was going to allow it to take place.
But he wasn't going to be out there with the signs being like,
He was going to make sure it could still go on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think also we love the natural progression of the kids in it. The adults were kind of a write-off. But when you saw Bobby or we watched like Bob's Burgers, for example, like you see there is an arc to them throughout the entire series of growth and character development, and maybe kids can attach themselves a little bit more to that and give themselves a little bit more, I don't know, autonomy or.
No, I get that. Yeah, like The Simpsons, I don't think there's much character development really. Like they've added certain parts to their characters, but I feel like King of the Hill there was an example of like the characters are actually legitimately getting better through the series.
Yeah. And with a great example with The Simpsons, Bart hasn't changed in 20 years. Like maybe he doesn't say chill out, man, or what the hell was the first thing he said?
Don't have a cow.
Cow.
Cowabunga, dude.
Cowabunga.
Cowabunga.
He hasn't said that in 20 years, but we all just quoted it because it was something that he did say. Right?
You guys heard there was a CD. There was a CD that me and my sister used to listen to all the time. It was like a Simpsons CD, like a song CD, and there was Do the Bartman. I remember that.
Yeah, Do the Bartman.
It was The Simpsons Sing the Blues. Yeah. We will listen to the shit out of that stuff.
Do the Bartman?
Yeah. Okay, well, all right. Well, we're gonna have to bring it up then.
Yeah.
Simpsons.
What have you done? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's a music video. Dope. Sorry, DMCA strikes.
Here we go, folks.
Yeah. It was like a whole album of great tunes like that. Doing the Bartman.
Well, I think that exists probably still now. Like, Pop probably has a whole slew of CDs as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Big shiny tunes, Hanna-Barbera. They're exactly the same type of compilation.
On that Big Shiny Tunes tangent, man.
Yeah.
We have to type in the chat what their Big Shiny Tunes album.
I keep, like, if we're gonna talk about Big Shiny Tunes,
No.
I thought you were all about tangents. You lied to me.
Yeah. Okay. Pretend. Go.
Yeah. Go.
No, I can. You can find them in like the secondhand CD shops for like 50 cents a piece. So for a $10 investment, you can have the complete library. Okay, back to regular program.
I hadn't considered that pricing. That's funny.
Yeah. Kev's right. Big Shanty's 5.
5.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo. Oh yeah, Nao says it right in chat. Scooby-Doo, and it's great. It's back. Like so, we're getting into Spider-Man has remake, for lack of a better term, right? Scooby-Doo has movies, and it's got a whole new series on Netflix, right? Yeah. The franchises still exist. Are we seeing a little bit of a resurgence? Because Ninja Turtles as well, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of
Ninja Turtles. Transformers has never gone away. They just keep rebooting it.
Agreed. Yeah, the new Transformers, which to be honest, I haven't seen yet. I want to sit and I want to start watching it.
Yeah.
But
are you talking about an animated Transformers?
Yeah.
There's a new one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or for Cybertron or something like that.
Cybertron, that's right.
I must say I really enjoyed the movies and all that stuff. So yeah, maybe I should sit down and listen, check out the new animation.
They did. They redid Voltron, which was awesome, and it was very good on Netflix. I enjoyed that a lot.
I heard good things about it. I never got into Voltron like the original one. Surprisingly, it feels like it should be right in my alley kind of thing. But yeah, never got into Voltron.
Yeah, Voltron I missed as well, I think.
Did you? Yeah. Voltron. We also started watching the new She-Ra. It's really aimed towards kids.
Really?
Is there a reboot of She-Ra, Princess of Power?
Yeah, it's a kid version of it, and it's surprisingly good. Even with He-Man, there's a He-Man version as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you just say He-Man? Like his
sorry.
That's his
like
last name?
Rhymes Seaman?
Yeah.
Like okay.
PJ's saying if you're just tuning in now, PJ on purpose just to make you guys feel weird and uncomfortable.
Okay.
I think if you're going to bring it up, I always say Spider-Man and Iron Man. They're all just.
Is that like a mid-Atlantic affectation, or why are you pronouncing it like that?
I can't help it anymore. I pronounce things the way I see the word. So yeah,
okay.
It's Peter Parker Spider-Man. That's his full name, right? Peter Parker Spider-Man. So
we're gonna have words off camera, Paul.
But He-Man, She-Ra is a great show as well. Yeah.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Does she have a show? I don't know. That was a thing, right? Like pop stars that would spin off into cartoon shows too, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, doing guest was massive, right?
The first time I can remember that comes to mind is Mandy Moore on Clone High in the Christmas special, where she played the homeless girl, and everyone's like, "Are you Mandy Moore?" And she's like, "No."
Oh yeah, I call it
brutal. Brutal.
Yeah. Man.
Here's a bit of a tangent. So a little bit like Ferdy, I grew up in just outside of Swift Current, Saskatchewan, on a farm, and so your options were to have like Ferdy, your CBC or your CTV, your local affiliates, or to pay like $20,000 and get a giant 20-foot satellite dish put in and have like unlimited channels.
For extraterrestrial intelligence.
Right? Yeah, but they were massive, right? Those dishes, and my parents were too cheap to do that, and too smart probably. So we were stuck with the 2 channels, and I had only the 2 channels until I moved off the farm. So it was kind of like Ferdy's experience, but without that redemption, right? It was stuck to that. And the other thing I remember then was that, like, if you didn't get up and watch the cartoons first thing in the morning, at 11 o'clock, it was, CBC Sports Weekend and Wide World of Sports on the other channel. And it was like reruns of the Sarajevo Olympics or something. And somebody, it's like, what is this? Or horse racing or something, right? Like show jumping.
Reruns.
Yeah. You missed your window. You missed your window of time. And I guess to clarify that, did parents miss their window of opportunity to grab a swig of gin and have a smoke outside while their kids were watching TV?
Outside? My dad would chain smoke and drink right there in the living room.
Jeez Louise, Papa. Jeez.
But the show that I loved, and it doesn't strictly fall into cartoons, but it's Saturday morning stuff. I would get up 6 a.m. every Saturday. I'd probably be up at 5 a.m. just in anticipation of it. I would get up 6 a.m. every. I'm getting some
That
feedback.
wasn't me. That wasn't me.
That wasn't me.
No, that's me. I'm fucking around.
It was Hilarious House of Frightenstein.
Yes.
I love that show.
Hilarious House of Frightenstein.
Don't you remember that?
No,
Yeah.
I just the name. I never tuned in, but Mike, you guys are like helping me refire long dormant neurons here. This is great. Keep going.
Right, with Vincent Price, like he would sort of narrate like a spooky poem, and then there was like all your classic characters, right? Like Wolfman Jack, and he'd just be spinning tunes, and it'd be like some trippy digital effects, video feedback stuff going on.
Dude, that hit me hard. Nostalgia. I used to watch that religiously.
I'm sorry,
Love
what was it called again? I want to see.
Hilarious House of Frightenstein.
Frightenstein.
Frightened.
Right away.
Yeah, and let's clarify: not a cartoon.
No,
but it was a children's show, and so that maybe that's a right way.
And like the mad scientist guy, right? Like he's a real UCLA prof, I think.
Is he really?
Yeah, like a real physics prof.
No idea what this is.
Good for the music.
But I like it already.
So close your eyes and you will find that you've arrived in Frightenstein. Perhaps the Count will find a way to make his monster work today. For if he solves this monster mania, he can return to Transylvania. So somewhere the sun won't shine, to the castle of Count Frightenstein.
Oh my lord, that is solid fucking gold.
That is good.
So it's
Wait for the
6
music.
a.m. It's pitch black, and this thing's blasting out of the screen.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wait for the music. No, turn it up slightly there, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah. Well,
There was the mad professor. You could see him in the thumbnails there. Yeah.
Nate was right. I would have heard of him as Wolfman. The Wolfman Jack.
Wolfman Jack. Hey.
He was a great DJ, and he would have he'd always be dancing like super bad style, where he'd be dancing in front of that green screen.
Yeah, the silhouette. Yeah.
Dude,
Wasn't there like a Wolfman Jack DJ on
Yeah.
Rock 101?
yeah.
Was it the same guy?
No. I think this was because he was just looked like a wolf. Like this was a vampire-esque like show.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody was like a spooky character because there was a Frankenstein and there was a Dracula, and Dracula had like his little nephew or something.
Oh man, so they were like
And
the Monster
Igor.
Squad, but fun.
Yeah. And like this fortune teller and like witches that would like make these crazy potions. They'd be throwing stuff in.
Yeah. So why did we? This kind of brings up another topic. You know that those were children's shows that were not animated.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, is that where you're going?
Yeah, I love it.
So, what we learned in our last stream on this topic was that there was a massive turn throughout the 90s where animations could no longer just be people being hit by anvils anymore. It needed to have an educational element to the animation, and that frustrated a lot of animation companies. So the fallout from that was real life shows. So when we think about the 90s, we suddenly got into like Saved by the Bell.
Oh man, we're going down this road.
Well, we don't
was
have to go too far, but what I think we realized is that there was a pocket of time throughout, let's say, the early 90s to maybe the early 2000s, where animations, the only way that they could get away with non-educational elements was to make it targeted at adults, so that it didn't need to be.
Well, the educational cartoon thing wasn't new in the 1990s, though, right? Because I mean, like, I talked to you. I mentioned earlier about how some of my earliest Saturday morning TV cartoon experiences was with, say, Max, the 2,000-year-old mouse, which was history lessons. Right. And like, or you had like or even like, you remember, conjunction, junction, what's your function, and all of that sort of stuff that you'd see on ABC TV, and like, I seem to remember
the Bill of Rights.
How a bill becomes a law.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, there's always been like smatterings of that, as far as like putting in some sort of an educational component into the entertainment experience, and ultimately, I know exactly. Well, yeah, and again, like all of the work that was done through the Children's Television Workshop, like with Jim Henson through, Sesame Street and the Electric Company and everything he did there. Yeah, of course. Like, because when you make learning fun, everybody becomes a fucking genius.
Look at us.
There is the quote. That's the quote.
Fucking right. Look it up. It's like the fucking fabulous five here. It's like,
that's right.
For sure.
That's right. Yeah. My students are all cringing right now.
I love it. Yep.
So here's another show similar to Frightenstein, but pre your 90s, little tangent here, Paul J. Herman.
Yeah.
But another similar sort of show was You Can't Do That on Television.
Whoa.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
That's where Alanis
Morissette said, I don't know.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Now, AJ just said, I don't know. Something would have happened.
Oh.
No, so
get dumped with slime or something?
Yeah, you get dumped with slime.
Get slimed.
If you say
Danny, you look as confused as I do.
Because that Alistair kid got slimed all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you said water, I think you got a bucket of water dumped.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. After you get slime, could you say water and
you
just
could
rinse off and you're like, let's get back at it?
Yeah.
But you know what? That was the surgence around that time of children's game shows as well. Right?
Just like Mom.
Kid Street, Fun House. There was Kids. Oh my God, I would love to just Danny.
Do you remember that?
You and I should just sit and watch Kid Street for an entire stream. How amazing is that?
Do you remember Just Like Mom, where they'd like bake and they'd like just like make, they're gonna go bake chocolate chip cookies, and it'd be like 5 kids, and they're just like, you need flour and a bottle of Coke and ketchup and chocolate chips. And they
now
make this stuff.
Channels dedicated towards that.
Ketchup and chocolate
that is not what kids game shows were for me. That is not. We had Video and Arcade Top 10.
Oh
my God! Video and Arcade Top 10. Yeah. We had as well.
Is
got slimed.
Yeah.
It was similar to like if you answered the question wrong or you failed the challenge, you would get slimed.
So and Alanis Morissette was on You Can't Do That on Television.
Wow. That's where she got her start.
Yeah,
That's where she got her start.
Wow.
Alanis Morissette.
A lot of kids, the Disney kids.
Yeah.
Here it is.
As a very cute 14-year-old girl or 30 or however old she was. And it was like, who knew she'd had, jagged little pill inside of her back.
Who knew?
Exactly.
But she
knew Wesley Willis would one day write a song about her.
I love Wesley Willis.
Yeah.
Gem of a thing.
Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's.
Oh, that's what it was.
Alanis Morissette.
I think I was listening to Wesley Willis in here once, and Emily came in and was like, "What the fuck are you?" I was like,
because it's mental deficiency rock. It's the latest thing.
It really is. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Oh man. No, you hit it on the head. All these shows that were targeted once again towards kids, and now they could be involved. They could like Wipeout. They could be in the show, and they wanted to be at Arcade Top 10. Or Arcade Top 10 was awesome. That was a rad time.
Yep, totally.
It was a real. It really validated that kids are allowed to be kids. You're allowed to enjoy video games. You're allowed to say goofy things. You're allowed to get slimed, for saying something funny. It really validated that. Yeah. And
it's true.
And it might be going down a dark hole, but do we feel like kids are being sprung into being adults a lot earlier than they should?
Well, I think it's inevitable just because of the access to information, right? So
children are definitely becoming like they're growing up faster, and you're right, because I mean it's an internet world, it's an online world. They can learn about all sorts of crazy adult stuff, at the age of 10 if they have access to a keyboard and a search engine, right?
Yeah,
it's not the same as like what it was 40 years ago, like where if you wanted to like gain information, you had to grab the newspaper from your dad or watch the news on television with your dad.
Yeah.
You know, and it was easier to be a helicopter parent 40 years ago and try and keep your kids being naive and sheltered.
Yeah.
Whereas now now that we're 2 decades deep into the 21st century, no. And I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, as far as like of course, like with the proliferation and sophistication of all of this, animated this and animated that, and just on all of this, like these child-oriented pop culture artifacts, which again, like, let kids feel good about being kids and saying, yeah, it's like it's okay to be a child, it's okay to be an adolescent or what have you. It's like it's not. I don't believe it's like they can be happy about being kids, but I don't think it's going to like shove them into an emotional closet of being kids for their lives, for their lifespan or anything like that.
How do we feel? Just because the only person in this chat who's got kids would be Courtney here. What is your how do you feel about how the ages of 6, and can they still feel like kids these days, or do you feel like you're expecting a little bit more responsibility out of them at that age?
No, my 6-year-old thinks he's a puppy dog most of the time. He runs around and plays puppy, and it's great. Yeah. So
well, you
always do the best. Ideal life.
Said the father in the reindeer onesie.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess it always comes back to what's the parenting setup and standard, I guess. So whether it's 40 years ago or today, right? But I do agree, the device that my kids are able to watch Ninjago or Paw Patrol or whatever on is the same device that, God help us, someday they'll discover something else on. And that's just the nature of that device that, you click here, you get this channel and this information.
Nature of
you
that
click
device.
Here and right, like it's just there. So,
yeah.
So even tying it into, as everything has gone remote like this, as a teacher, I've seen it's difficult for some students to do working online because this isn't the device where I am tied to for working. This is a device that I use for fun.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wow. Yeah, great point.
So it's been challenging, right, in that regard.
How do you differentiate screen time between Paw Patrol and Zoom meetings?
Yeah.
I have literally the same problem on a daily basis.
Yeah, 100%.
Paw Patrol all the time.
Yeah. I'd say that jokingly, but kind of not, is that these screens I'm used to using for video games and doing, personal stuff. And now, being at home working throughout this period, they're now work screens as well.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super interesting. That's really Can I make a quick announcement here?
Yeah, we got to pause.
Yeah, we got to pause for the cause. We've been getting some donations. So just as a reminder, we're doing all of this for Extralife, BC Children's Hospital. The donations, can you hit that up, Danny and chat there?
Is this like the fundraising drives they used to have on TV?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
well, it's pretty amazing. We've been online for 1 hour, and we're already at a quarter of our goal for financing so far.
Nice.
So,
if you notice me distracted looking at my phone, that's literally what I was doing. I was like, here's some money.
Oh, well, thank you. Saw that. And that was awesome.
Nice. Thank you so much for the donation so far. It's an amazing cause. And we're super hyped.
I need another drink.
Kind of why are you donating? Drunk.
Yeah. Drink more. But if you're able to, then that's great. And we get to hang out for the next 24 hours and put a focus on this BC Children's Hospital. So.
Yeah, and thank you again for everybody who's donated so far. It's super cool. Super cool. No words don't describe. So.
Yeah. So call the number on the bottom of your screen. And let's ring those phones.
Yeah, ring those phones.
We're an hour in for 23 hours left. So I don't know if we should ring a bell or if it should be our anniversary, 1 hour anniversary, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, how excited we are. Hour 23.
That's exactly.
Should I ring the cowbell?
No. Wait. Oh my goodness. We've talked about a lot here, as this has been deep. I'm also, it's funny, I see 4 time in chat right now, and he maybe he can clarify in chat. He didn't really have a TV until he was older, or he didn't have video games until he was much older.
Were his parents hippies or just Mormons?
Well, maybe you could answer that.
But that's, I was going to say something similar, because my parents were sort of more strictly religious, Mennonite, Christian background, right? And so some of those cartoons you guys were saying, like G.I. Joe, I wasn't allowed to watch that. That would come on and the TV had to go off. Transformers, I wasn't allowed to watch that.
Right. So 44 says here, he didn't have a TV, flat out. He just didn't have a TV. Both parents grew up with TVs, so they made a distinction. So we all agree that AJ is a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, AJ is a cool guy. We can.
Sorry, you were not the topic of discussion. So 4 times, both his parents grew up with TVs, and then I guess they made the decision that their kids were not going to have television.
I find that's more interesting than the other way of just the parents not being into the TV, and then I think that's wild. Yeah, like they made the conscious decision. They're like, no, we're not going to subject this to our kid. Yeah,
right.
I was vaccinated, but my kids, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that'll help.
Ooh, there. Yes.
Sorry, I'm a little edgy on that one.
That certainly makes for an overload. Well, as Courtney said, you don't have any experience with G.I. Joe, you don't have any experience with video games, and then suddenly you're like, what? This whole world exists. What do I?
Whole new world. Sorry.
How do I adapt into that? Yeah. She said it was better for their betterment, but looking back, she admits it was a large part to prevent her from being. Oh, I see.
Okay, so, I can appreciate that.
For the parent, I totally respect that. That's awesome. With that being said, you've changed the cycle back, and you've got kids 4 time, and your kids are playing video games. I know that because they kick my ass at Mario Kart on a weekly basis. They do, and so the cycle has been changed back. Do we feel, and I say this to everybody, do we feel like are cartoons a distraction so that you can get your work done as a parent, or are they educational, or are they teaching cognitive skills? Are they teaching what do we think is the purpose of cartoons nowadays for kids? Go.
All of the above.
Yeah, like it's more about like the morality stuff that they deal with.
Ooh,
like there's always some sort of lesson you learn at the end of the show, right?
That was what the show was about too.
We had that in sitcoms, though, right? Like every episode of Family Ties was basically preaching something at you.
Well, pretty much every show would have that somehow. I mean, kid shows, they're meant to do two things. It's nowadays, at least, it's to get the kids addicted to like the stories and the visuals and stuff like that, so that they go out and they force their parents to buy more toys and stuff. So, I mean, the toy thing was going back to our day. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched The Toys That Made Us on Netflix, but that show is amazing. And pretty much every toy line they talk about had a TV series. And I mean, Danny knows this because it's his favorite show. The Transformers show wouldn't exist if it wasn't to sell the toy line.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the overarching theme of the toys that made us. So that's definitely continued on now with even like the remakes and stuff. Now they're looking at people like us buying toys for ourselves and for like our kids or our younger family members.
Yeah.
Well, all the Lego movies and Ninjago and whatever, like that rebooted Lego. Like Lego as a company was almost dead. They were done.
Almost bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lego is great. Lego is more of an adult toy than it. Oh, maybe it's a gateway drug.
Well, no, it's like that's like
Lego,
those kind of like hands-on tactile stuff, like Lego and Tinker Toys and Meccano and whatever you want to get. That's all well and good.
Yeah.
But I'd say like the Lego is different now. Like when we were kids, you got Lego. It was just a box and it had like 1,000 bricks.
Oh, you're hitting hard,
right?
You're getting me riled up, Courtney. You're getting me riled up.
I'm getting you riled up. And now, it's hard to get a box of just bricks that are just basic pieces.
All the licensing.
Well, when I was like,
It's a
again, like when I was a
specific
kid,
of
though,
something, and those kits did exist, but
I got the space Lego when I was 9 years
For
old.
sure.
Like the ones that were all like a dedicated stuff. What's this? Oh, it's a twin ion engine Imperial fighter.
But Ferdy, even that, like the space Lego kit was like pieces you could use to build different space things.
Oh,
But it
fucking
wasn't
right,
like
you could.
right, yeah. So, but now it's like these are the pieces to build a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
And if you take it apart and want to build something else, good luck.
Oh, but I
can
remember
kind of build something else, but not completely because you don't have enough pieces.
No,
that's been our
There's no basic bricks, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I remember that there was a brick package. Like anytime you bought a Lego kit, it also had an alternate thing that you could build.
Yeah.
It had like two different
Okay.
right?
And
I got
some of them still
some
do.
Lego sets to build that are like triple changers. They're like 3-in-1. One's like a shark / octopus / some other fish thing, and then one's like 3 different types of dinosaurs it can turn into.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now this hits hard with Danny though, because Danny is a big fan of nobody telling him what to do in his life.
Oh, geez,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Danny wants to just
such an endearing trait.
So he's
And
an
so-
iconoclast, is what
So
you're saying.
Danny and my oldest son would get along well because my oldest son, like he loves building them from the instructions, whatever, but then he wants to just build his own thing. And it's really hard because he doesn't have enough bricks that aren't specifically made for TIE fighters or whatever.
Yeah, I remember like you had the big Tupperware container and it was just full of fucking Lego, and you just
Fucking right.
Yeah. And you built everything you're in your brain what you could
I had
possibly.
half a dozen ice cream buckets that
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
that were full of Lego, right? And it ended up, and there was the basic like multicolored like basic brick type selections. Then there was the space Legos, and I had about 6 different modules of that where you could create your moon base, and you had like the flat platforms with the little sort of cratered borders and stuff like that. And like, oh, here's the runway for you can land your ships on and all that. And it all ended up getting interchangeables inside of the ice cream buckets. And yeah, and I can understand what you're saying. Like with Paul proudly showing off his TIE fighter. Like my friend Steve, who's the lead guitarist in the Biff Naked band, like who I also play with and whatnot. He dropped $1,200 on a Millennium Falcon Lego set, right?
Dude, those
and this Millennium Falcon, Millennium Falcon's like 30 inches in diameter.
Yeah.
And I go cross-eyed taking a look at it. Yeah, for sure. There's hatches that open, and there's like quad 50 turrets that swivel around, and and retractable landing gear. And I'm like, fuck, like I was lucky if my space Lego had like an antenna which stuck off of the
Spaceship.
That is the pinnacle. Every adult in their life wants, it's really ironic. I was about to say every adult I've seen on TikTok, has a dream of owning a Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
You get it for Christmas or however you
Sorry, do they have a dream of owning the Lego or like the actual
both.
Millennium
like
Falcon?
the Kenner like I got 2 of them. Yeah.
I have a Millennium Falcon virtual backdrop for Zoom calls.
Perfect. You're fine.
Yeah. I had a bottle opener, but it didn't open bottles very well, so I threw it out.
The Lego thing is interesting, and really it's the same as what we were talking about earlier with how Pixar movies, they're not just for kids, they're adults. The adults are the ones that have the money, right? So as soon as Lego took off, when they started appealing to mom and dad,
totally,
it was not just
right,
here you go kids, go fuck off and build it. It's let's build this together as a family, right? That's where it really took off. And then
that's a good one,
PJ.
And again, and that makes total sense. And again, like these systems, these brands, these franchises, whatever you want to call them, again, they've been around for so long that are now transgenerational.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you want to talk about, I was 6 years old.
That's sorry, Ferdy.
What the hell is this?
That looks like my kid's bedroom.
Yeah. So
that's someone's Lego collection.
Yeah. 4 put that in our Discord.
Nice.
Is that your kid's set up? Yeah. Like that.
I like how it's organized.
Yeah. 10 out of 10 for organization there, Dan.
Exactly.
Which I'm on Discord, but which channel am I supposed to be on? Oh, there you go. I see it now.
Cool. Sorry, I won't hog the narrative. I'm just saying that, like,
go for it.
Like the first movie I ever saw in a theater was
Uncle
Star
Buck.
Wars.
Oh,
Like
sorry.
the
First?
the,
Nice.
yeah. I was 6 years old in 1977, and Star Wars was the first movie I saw in a theater.
Was
and
that any
now
good?
you go ahead. It was no Babylon 5, mind you, but but again, like, here we are 43 years later, and you got 2 or 3 generations of people who can enjoy all this Jedi shit. And the same goes with Lego, the same goes with The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Right? You talk about your dad's cartoons, and it's just going to keep going as we go deeper into the 21st century, right? I mean, like, you're probably going to see umpteen reboots of Simpsons. You're going to see umpteen reboots of Star Wars or anything else. And and if it involves parents and children working together, great. It's like, I can remember, like, again, like watching cartoons with my dad, because my dad, but whatever, he would see whatever, like the original Flintstones cartoons, and he would say, "Yeah, kid, I remember when the Flintstones cartoons used to shill Winston cigarettes."
Oh,
Yeah. So if we're gonna do a YouTube sidebar, I call this to you, Paul J. Herman.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and let's find the old black and white Fred and Barney smoking Winston's thing.
So, and that's funny because that's what I was going to mention before. Like, cartoons used to advertise other products, and now they just advertise themselves.
Yeah,
Hey.
they are the ad for the physical products.
Maybe that was education in 1964, teaching kids to become smokers when they grew up.
Yeah, it's funny.
All right, cue the cartoon, Paul, please.
8 out of 10 doctors recommend it.
8 out of 10 doctors smoke Camels more than any other cigarette.
Feeling stressed? Have a smoke.
Okay, Paul, let's see that cartoon.
Yeah, we watched this last week, or maybe.
Yeah.
Let's watch the whole thing.
Oh, this guy. Okay, forget it. Okay, I don't.
The intro is disgusting.
I loved all their tools. Just dinosaurs strapped to sticks.
Elephants spraying water.
Yeah, I hate to see them work so hard. Yeah, me too. Let's go around back where we can't see them. See, we ought to do something. Okay? How's about taking a nap? Hey, I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break. That's it.
Holy shit.
Time for a dart.
Deliver flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend. Yeah, Fred.
And freaking product placements and terrible old white men have been around forever.
I like how it's like actually like a real cigarette.
I know, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And specially
match like the animation.
Yeah.
It tastes the way a cigarette should. Yeah.
Cigarette should.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a follow-up question then. What should a cigarette taste like?
So we were talking about this afterwards.
Like a Winston.
No, actually, I was thinking about it after our last stream when we happened to stumble upon this a couple weeks ago. Is that at the time, I'm wondering if it was the time that menthol cigarettes were starting to come out.
Oh, tasty menthols,
right? Or just with filters, like when putting filters in, then it started taking away the taste of the tobacco. So their marketing plan was a Winston cigarette should taste the way a cigarette. Right?
And it takes Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble to convince the future smokers of America that they should smoke cigarettes that taste like cigarettes.
Hey kids, get your cigarettes today. Oh, remember Popeye cigarettes?
Yeah,
the candy cigarette.
Yeah.
Oh,
You'd buy them and you could blow through them and a little bit of dust would pop out.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah,
they were awful, but
I used to just like eat those things by the fistful when I was a kid, and then I became diabetic. Unrelated, but
but you know what?
Another life ruined by Popeye the Sailor Man.
Did you ever try smoking them instead of eating them?
No. Oh, but
no, that's the clove cigarette before.
Here's the real story behind it. Okay, so my older half brother showed up with like a girlfriend to stay the night, whatever. And I used to watch Saturday morning cartoons in the basement on the basement TV. And he was staying in the guest room in the basement, and he was a smoker. And I was like 4 or 5 years old, really into Popeye, really into cramming these Popeye fake cigarette candies into my mouth and eating them as fast as I could. So, long story short, he left a pack of cigarettes out on the table next to where I would sit to watch Saturday morning cartoons. And because the stupid Popeye candies came in a little pack that looked like a cigarette thing, I just opened it and ate an entire pack of cigarettes. And then my mom came down to check on me and was like, whoa. And I had to go to the hospital, and they gave me Ipecac, and I threw up. And they gave me a little, like, imagine getting a steak on like a deli tray. They gave me one of those to throw up on because hospital. And I threw up all over the nurse, and she got mad at me. And I was like, what is going on today?
Part of the gig.
So,
if you're gonna
Popeye the Sailor Man.
Great segue.
People.
Great segue, because I was literally going to bring up that, you know, the Popeye cigarettes became Popeye candy sticks.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it with toys, that there's a transformation now where guns, you know, they're not as prevalent in sales anymore, unless they're very obviously not a gun, like Nerf.
Orange tip on them.
Yeah, exactly.
I had so many plastic black colored toy guns.
Of course,
like I would have been shot down by Michigan policemen 20 times over if I was walking around with that stuff now.
I grew up on a farm. We just had guns.
Yeah.
And we had guns too. It was great. You know?
Or we'd, make them out of wood and then put a little piece of pipe on the top, and you'd shoot elastic bands at each other with a.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that certainly doesn't exist as much anymore now. It's really frowned upon to have anything that looks realistic. We were looking at classic commercials a couple weeks ago, older commercials, and I was even kind of freaked out with the fact that a lot of kids love to play with life-size dolls. Like, it was the size of them, and they're huge.
That's
like
Blade Runner come to life.
Exactly, right? It was a whole other kind of world, Ferdy.
And when they're 20 years old and they become uptight Dilbert cubicle types, they'll just get into the Mitsubishi sex dolls.
That's right. Just get a real doll.
As you do. As you do.
As one does.
Yeah.
Well, because like they won't be able to like actually speak to like actual potential human spouses. So
that's a thing you brought up earlier then, Ferdy. You talked about how kids are growing up earlier, but in some ways kids are not growing up earlier, and some are not growing up at all. Like they're
turning into Michael Jacksons is what they're turning
because they're not having real human interactions as much. They're just having screen interactions or texting interactions, and some of that learning how to have conflict with people and relationships with people, some of that stuff is actually lost.
And they're not, and that's going to get even worse, because if the subject of this podcast is talking about cartoons, but cartoons that we enjoyed and our interaction with cartoons as kids, let's extrapolate. Okay, we're probably going to have actual holodeck technology by 2030 or 2035. And again, if you want to talk about earlier about where does animation stop, like cell animation stop and CGI begin? Well, what if the whole virtual reality all of a sudden becomes, is it reality or not? And as you say, Courtney, it's like, I can't handle talking to this guy because he argues with me. I'm going to go to the holodeck and just hang out with people who like everything I say. And again,
Reg Barkley.
That's how they sound.
And again, exactly. It's going to be, it's going to be like Dwight Schultz's character off Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to talk about the whole point of Star Trek being a universe unto itself, because every episode describes an element of the human condition, the human condition, which the character of Barkley is that, you can lose yourself. Yeah. Again, perfect example. don't let your kids play Dungeons and Dragons. You know, that sort of stuff, right?
Oh,
But it's like
we heard that all the time. Growing up, I heard that all the time. If you play Dungeons and Dragons, you're gonna think you're in a real fantasy world, and you're gonna like lose your mind and
try to cast.
And that's where that docudrama Mazes and Monsters came from, which talks about how you'll become a drooling, raving, irreparable lunatic if you roll a 20-sided dice.
Yeah.
And so
and look what happened to all of us.
And so now if we're talking about, again, sorry, arcing back to what you were talking about, Courtney, about how, you know, kids growing up fast, but kids also a lot more emotionally and psychologically fragile children growing up now in the 21st century. And yeah, the jury's still sort of out on how much of a role the on-demand digital world does to create such strife. Yeah. You take a look at, again, like where all five of us talking now, like our interactions with the animation world was sort of like a passive gift from screen to eyeballs, like from us, like, you know, plunking our asses down in front of a television and getting, you know, whatever, Reboot or Rocket Robin Hood or Family Guy or whatever, like, you know, streamed to us. But now, I don't know. I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but I do believe there is a bit of caution and worry to be embraced, and, you know, and bracing yourself for, you know, about what's going to happen with kids, say, like as we get deeper into the 2020s and into the decades beyond, because, you know, with again the technology arcing up exponentially, as it always has done, but now reaching, well, I don't know, like the Kurzweil critical mass singularity, or, you know, Herman can talk about that shit more than I can. But it's like, but again, like, if it comes a time when again, like, kids won't need, or, well, they'll need to interact with human beings, but they can choose not to, because they can just immerse themselves, instead of like the downstairs rec room, there'll be the downstairs holocube, where they can shove themselves into, and they can hang out with their imaginary friends, because they will be interacting with them real.
Yeah, I can speak on behalf of a second of that, is that I've noticed some children right now, given the times that we're in, where they're isolated and don't have a lot of social exercise, for lack of a better term, mental and physical social exercise. I've noticed, at least the kids that are within my bubble, my circle, they've changed a lot over the past 8 months. They've become very reliant on screens. They become very, like, borderline addictive. And then I know of other kids that have used their screens as a social tool. They're having virtual sleepovers. They're having virtual hangouts with their friends. They're sending voice messages to people. And I'm finding the adaptation in that case, embracing the technology given these times, I've seen a good social arc for them. I'm not a parent. I couldn't tell you if it was good or bad, but from an outside perspective, I can definitely see that there's a juxtaposition between those two situations.
That's really
yeah. So I think I always come back to the argument of, oh, computers are ruining kids. So was the VCR, so was the TV, so was the novel, so what, like, you name it. There's always been something.
South Park.
Yeah. And there are great examples of how, wow, you really use that in a positive way, and examples of, wow, that is not a good usage of this technology. And I just think that's just kind of humanity and new tools and the ways we adapt to them in general.
Yeah, totally. We'll overcome any obstacle like this.
Yeah.
Just have to educate people in schools as well as we can and make good choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
There we go. Done. We can end this now.
Okay, so we're talking about good choices. Let's talk about good choices for modern cartoons then.
Nice.
Okay. I mean, you guys know more about like what the latest hottest thing is in, you know, modern 21st century animated stories and all that.
Yep.
So me
being old and out of touch, what should I be watching?
Go ahead, CK.
I have one written down here that I marked down when you kind of went near this topic a while ago. There's a Netflix series I've been watching, which I got into because I was looking up shows that David Tennant has been a part of.
Yes,
yes.
Because
yes, I know where you're going with this, and yes,
I
am here for it.
Yes, Final Space.
Yes,
Final
Space.
Space.
So good.
On
So
the
good.
Netflix series.
Yeah.
I've seen it come up, but I haven't watched it yet. Do tell. Hey, Nick. Hey, Nick.
It's. I mean, how do you describe it? It's space cowboys in the future.
Sassy robots.
Yes.
Ridiculous
Fred Armisen is a
storylines.
robot. David Tennant is this bad guy. Crazy, ridiculous story.
Yeah, and it starts off slow. It starts off like the first couple of episodes are like this dude Gary floating through the space station where he was locked up as a prisoner and being like confined for 100 days.
It's all these flashbacks.
Yeah, so there's a lot of flashbacks, and then they kind of catch up. So once you get past kind of like the first 3 episodes, it picks up in pace. You meet Avocado, and then little Avocado.
Yes.
And like just the voice actors are great. Stephen Ewan is young of like little Kato.
Little Kato.
Yeah, he's Avocado. He's a cat. He's a cat humanoid thing. And then there's just this little blob thing. What's his
Chickadee.
Yeah.
What's his name?
What's his name?
Moonbeam?
Mooncake. Moonpie. Mooncake. Yeah, chickadee. And he's just this little thing. He's just this cute little blob that floats around, but he is the most powerful being in the world. He'll just like all of a sudden like blow up like Kirby a little bit, and then just go full Death Star, just like laser beam out his mouth, like kill everything.
I love.
It's a great show.
Not to inflate this. I love the two aged men super stoked about a cartoon. Amazing. This is exactly what we're getting at. Yeah,
it is so good though. And then the second season gets like a little bit darker and way more layers though, because now you've got there is a. It won't spoil it to say that there's a time jump element.
No.
That comes into play. Yeah.
So I'm having a bit of a hard time with the second season because it's so much layered, and it's so if I've had a beverage or two and I'm a little banged up and I'm trying to watch my shows, I'm just like, what the heck is going? I don't under. Back it up.
Yeah. You zone out for a second. You have to back up every 30 seconds. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's still been good.
That one's a good one on Netflix. Netflix has got a couple of good animated ones.
Have you seen Love, Death, and Robots?
Yes, it's great.
Love, Death, and Robots?
Yeah. They're mini shows. They're only about 15, sometimes anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes. Yeah,
I got a good story.
Go ahead. I got to look up something on that one. Go for it.
So it is definitely R-rated content in a lot of the stories. Some of them are just kind of fun and light and stuff, but there's some serious dark ones. And I downloaded for offline viewing on my phone for Flight for a bachelor party that me and Danny were going to in Austin, Texas a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sitting on the plane and I'm like, I'm gonna finally like get through this entire series. I'm gonna watch them all. And it gets to like the 3rd episode, which is just like this crazy story about this stripper that's like running from this like person trying to kill her. And but at the same time, it's like she's fucking full nude and it's like hyper realistic animation. Yep. And the stewardess is like coming down. I'm on the aisle seat and I've just got my phone with this. And it's just like it's just like full on huge like busty titties on the screen. And it's like you look at it and you're like, damn, those are realistic titties, but I know right away that they're animated. That's cartoon titties right there. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh shit. And she walks by, no one says anything. I'm still watching. I'm like, okay, maybe it was just short. No, then it like pans out and she's like bottoms off, like flipping her legs over a couch kind of thing, flashing the business. And again, the stewardess is just like walking past while that happens. And I'm like, well, nope. I'm gonna go and see what's on the on-flight entertainment. I am not going to watch my phone anymore because I can't risk anyone seeing this.
Good tact. You're a gentleman. You are a gentleman.
You got it.
I'm sure the guy in the row next to me though was watching Game of Thrones, so it's just equally shouldn't have cared.
You're right. You know, we were talking about animations once again.
Adult
Great
animations.
And yeah. Do we think that doing animations, I don't know the answer to this, is it cheaper than doing IRL filming?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Because they outsource it to like Korea and stuff.
You got it. So, or any type of animation company, or you know, even with cutscenes for video games, for that matter, right?
Yeah,
they're using a specific engine, and maybe that's kind of the same deal here. Yeah, that's interesting that they can do a whole series. And you know, Love, Death, and Robots, for example, every single one is different. They're all animated differently. They're all different stories, different episodes. So in essence, it's just a culmination of many.
Yeah, it's like an anthology.
Yeah, because there's a connection between it and I'm trying to find the connection here, but the 1981 sci-fi film Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
can see it. It's the same kind of vibe.
Production or something, right?
Okay.
Oh.
Heavy
I
Metal.
remember seeing that at Rogers Video, walking by many times, and finally renting it. And
yeah,
I didn't get it when I was a kid.
Oh,
I know.
I don't
say like it's all little snippets, right?
Yeah.
Like,
a couple of months ago when I tried to watch it, I was like, I'm either too high or not high enough. Like I was not in the right spot for that.
Yeah.
I should watch it again. I it's been so long since I've seen that, and I just remember the feelings of like, what am I watching?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
No.
Oh man,
it's kind of like in the vein of like Fantasia, where there's not a lot of talking.
So I guarantee Ferdy knows it.
You're talking about Heavy Metal?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like, well, that's the thing. If you want to talk about animation and cartoons, you got to talk about the rise of, well, the rotoscoping style of animation movies that popped up in the late 70s and the early 80s. And that's where Ralph Bakshi comes in, right? Because you've got like you've got like Heavy Metal, which is probably the best known of all that stuff. But you also have like Ralph Bakshi's animated version of Lord of the Rings that came out back in 1980. And you also have like American Pop, which was an awesome like animated movie. You've got like, you know, Wizards, which came out in 77. And like and the earlier stuff like Fritz the Cat, which came out back in 72, which was sort of like the only X-rated cartoon that was out back in the 70s. You know, or Rock and Rule, if anyone ever saw that one from 83, also from the Nelvana Studios and all that kind of stuff. Like Heavy Metal, it's like, it's, you know, like the Fantasy Illustrated Science Fiction magazine, which first came out in the late 70s, like based off of the French magazine Metal Hurlant. And that's where you have artists like, you know, Mobius came out of that and all of that. And like Richard Corbin with his Den series and all of that. And anybody that ever went to a Friday night, you know, double feature midnight movies where you were smoking joints and putting vodka in your Pepsi while you were going to the, you know, or maybe I should speak for myself, but
only
still,
on
like,
Thursdays in Revelstoke.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, by the time that happened, I was a Cranbroker by that time. But no, it's like you know, Heavy Metal 1981, and then there was a sequel which came out in 2000. The second Heavy Metal movie.
So that's where I found the connection with Love, Death, and Robots, is that it was an attempt at a reboot of it by Fincher and Miller.
Okay.
And then they just spun it into the Netflix show.
Nice.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
No, not at all.
So I've heard the Heavy Metal.
I've never seen
Metal.
Heavy Metal.
And so I guess as far as that goes, like where does the line then? Where's the termination between children's animation and adult animation?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one episode in there on Love, Death, and Robots. You remember the one where they're like the farmers on whatever that planet is, and those aliens are coming through the gap.
Oh yeah, and they got the mech suits.
Yeah, they got those mech suits. Like, I'm like, dude, my kids would love this one.
I know.
But there are so many F-bombs in this.
Yeah. You're just like, there's definitely Love, Death, and Robots is for adults.
It's for adults.
Even the semi-kid version one is for adults. But like,
although
there's
the one,
definitely a
the
line like
Post-Apocalyptic Cats one, I think that one the kids could watch.
Oh, geez, I don't remember that.
I don't remember that one.
The robots go to like New York City, and it's like they're like seeing the ruins of the human lands.
Oh, it's the three robots.
The three robots.
Yeah, that one's cute. That one's cute. I like that one.
You know, Do we think that there's a major division that's happening now throughout this conversation, that there's nothing really in the middle? The moment that an F-bomb gets dropped, it's an adult.
No, there's no gray area. You know which ones are for kids and which ones are for adults.
Exactly.
Like,
right.
No, I disagree though. We talked about the Pixar ones earlier, right?
Well,
Like,
no. The kid ones,
and tentacles.
they have.
Movies
Okay,
are
the tentacles are definitely not for kids.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, they're not.
No.
Oh, let me write that down. Do not
Not
Yeah,
for
tits and
kids.
tentacles, no
not
children.
for
No,
kids.
okay.
Well,
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
Octonauts, but yeah. Yeah.
No hentai stuff.
Still, don't show the
Don't watch
Octonauts.
Octonauts. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
don't watch that. It's terrible.
I
Ugh.
know.
But
I have no idea what that
I
was.
think Pixar.
Don't watch it.
I think
Just
all
don't
the-
watch it. Just
I think all the Pixar ones are definitely for kids. They're aimed at.
oh
the
yeah.
kids.
Sure.
Well,
Like-
remember, if it's a film in a theater, the kid has to be brought there, right?
True.
You can't just fuck off and be like, "Go for it, kids!" Right?
Well, you can, but it's
Yeah.
frowned on.
Frowned
It is
upon.
super frowned upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've twice been told to stop doing that.
yeah, dude, you gotta watch it.
Yeah. You keep an eye on it, dude.
What?
Hardcore.
But like kids, like
and the
you
Lego
can take
movies and
kids to
stuff
all
too,
the
Right.
all the Pixar movies, all the Lego movies, all the DreamWorks movies, all that. They all have like those little things for adults, and even watching the old Disney cartoons, even the TV shows, like DuckTales and stuff. You watch the old ones that you watched as a kid now, not the remakes.
Yeah.
There's jokes in there for the adults that, like, when I watched them, did not pick up on them at all. But now I'm watching an episode and I'm like, I love this episode as a kid, and I'm watching it, I'm like, whoa, what did they just say? Are you kidding me here? How did I not get that?
I'm noticing that with movies I watched as a kid as well, and it could be a
Yeah.
sentence like Spaceballs. But now that I'm an adult, I'm processing all those sentences differently in a different context.
So
now it's
that's
at
still,
30%.
in my opinion, stuff like that still makes it's still a kid's show though, because the kids are not picking up on it.
Right.
It's the ones like love sex and robots, or love death and robots, sex robots, whatever.
Same thing.
It all mixes together. Like shows like that, BoJack Horseman, Venture Brothers,
Boondocks.
Rick and Morty. Like,
Yeah,
you're not showing those to kids. They have things that are intentionally, like, it's not like, oh hey, I get the context. It's like, oh hey, that guy's doing that fucking thing to someone. Like, it's just obvious.
Well, wasn't that
versus
one of
subtle.
one of the initial reasons why The Simpsons became so popular? Is all the onion layers of sophistication, which you can hear a joke and process it as whatever a 13-year-old kid, and then you can hear the same joke and process it as a 33-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was a show we watched as the whole family, right?
Yeah.
I remember
Me
that.
and Dad would watch The Simpsons, and I would laugh at a joke for one reason, and he'd laugh for another, and then my mom would be like, "Why are you letting him watch The Simpsons?"
My mom loved it. My mom was like, "Oh, Homer's so cute."
Right.
I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons as a kid. My dad always-
The Simpsons was a show that, like I talked before about how I couldn't watch some shows. The Simpsons was a show that my mom and my dad, we'd watched it as a family, and then something came out through our church. It was like, "Ooh, I don't know, The Simpsons, not that good of a show." And that was like the moment where my mom was first like, we don't have to follow everything. I think it'll be okay.
Little did you know.
Yeah.
The first episode, my dad, I watched it all the time, and I remember my dad getting in, watching Simpsons with me, and it was the episode with the flaming Homer.
The flaming Homer, yes.
Oh yeah.
Still to this day, my dad's like, "Okay, let me see what the heck you're watching here."
That's when Aerosmith made a guest appearance on that episode.
Oh, right.
Hello, St. Louis. Stephen Springfield. Hello, Springfield.
So good. That's awesome. So what do we? So that was when he got into it, and he was like, "This is hilarious. I think you're gonna like." He approved of it right away because of that episode. He was cool with me watching it.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up really quickly as a small tangent. We were talking about adult cartoons versus kids cartoons. What do we think about the new Animaniacs that's going to come out? What do we think that's going to be more?
I'm excited. I'm
Well,
excited.
as long as Yakko's in it, how bad could it be?
Well, that's the question. What do we think? What do we think the target audience is going to be, and how do we think the pacing is going to be in it?
100%.
Animaniacs is your dad's cartoon.
Right, but it's
No,
not.
Animaniacs is my cartoon.
There you go. But you're if you're the cool uncle for a bunch of nieces and nephews, you can now share that with these younger generations.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun show that anybody of all ages can enjoy it. It hit all the check marks for production, for that matter.
It was funny because, again, this was one of those shows when I was watching it as a kid. I was like, I don't like Animaniacs. This isn't the show for me. But I would watch it all the time. In my head, I was like, I don't like this kind of humor. And then I would sit there and watch a half hour every single day after school and be like, this is hilarious.
Well, now, that's awesome. And does that mean that we're going to see does that mean that anything can be rebooted?
Everything already has been, and if it hasn't been, it will be.
Even Sabrina the Teenage Witch,
several times over.
I'm actually kind of pissed that it's canceled. It got rebooted and canceled.
You know what's ironic? I think Reboot got rebooted.
Yep.
Reboot got rebooted. I worked with the company that did their website.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's my little claim to fame. But yeah, reboot it. But when they rebooted it, it was like it's like live action and CG. So I don't know if you guys ever watched the TV show that was a blatant Power Rangers ripoff and actually made by the same company called Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Of course. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically the new reboot is that show.
Oh.
So there are 4 teenagers and then one Janet from The Good Place. She's like a computer program that looks like a human.
Good show.
So there's these 4 teenagers and they have to jack into the mainframe to go in and fight the viruses on the web. And they've got like Megatron and they got Hexadecimal, but then they've got this like wizard hacker kind of guy who's another human. He's an adult, which makes him terrible. And he is jacking in and he's working with the viruses to try and destroy the web. So it's not like a city. It's not like mainframe, existing with all these characters. It's like these characters going into the computers. And then you get the like legacy characters. There's like episodes where Bob shows up and stuff, but they're more like Power Rangers fighting in the web kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I don't think it went off really well, did it? I don't think.
I mean, reboot fans just tore it apart. There was like when we were leading up to launching that website, it was just like the fans on social media were like, we hate this, and it's like it hasn't even launched, man. Like calm down, just give it a minute.
Like Dirk Benedict shooting down BSG 75 because he wasn't recast as Starbuck.
Yeah, just sour people, just sour people,
just sour
on the internet being sour. But I think it got a second season. I haven't really been following.
Is that a thing on the internet? Do people say shitty things about other things that have happened?
Oh man, where have you been on
That's
that? I would love to go wherever that
Welcome
is.
to the information superhighway.
Should I be reading the comments?
No.
Oh man, I love going on Reddit just for the comments. I don't even care what I'll be on the homepage. I'll just be like, I don't care about that. What are they saying in the comments? And there's some worked up asshole and people just tearing them apart if it's politics.
I'm actually finding myself going to the comments to try to get context for the photo that I don't get.
You're like,
totally. That's
what
me
is that?
What is this?
Are those knees or are those boobs?
I don't understand.
Or are they both?
like the crack of my elbow?
Yeah. But if I don't get it, if it's a meme of some kind, and I'm like, why am I not getting this? And I go to comments, and I'm like, oh, or I'm just like, nah, I don't get it at all.
You just got to put a comment in yourself with the like, explain it like I'm 5 tag.
Yeah, but I'm
at 5.
I'm at that age where I'm just out of the arc of the memes that were big for me, like those times. There's a whole slew of new stuff that I'm just starting to get out of the loop on. I've got to remind myself of what it is.
Well, you're a head start with your TikTok account there. So
I've been on TikTok for a while. TikTok's awesome. It's true.
Are we going to see you doing any Fleetwood Mac songs?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one though. That was a good one.
That's a very good one.
No, I'm not. I don't post to TikTok. I lurk on the TikToks, and I get an idea of pop culture through TikTok. That's usually where things drop first before they go to Twitter or Instagram or anywhere. TikTok is the first place things drop.
I definitely do notice that like a lot of links on like if you see them on Reddit, they're like caps of TikTok or something like that. Definitely is taken over for sure.
Yeah, enough so that Danny, we know of one person. I lurk on the TikToks. Yeah, that's me. This guy. Classy. I'm a classy boy.
All those 15-year-old girls. Yeah.
I avoid TikTok because I don't want to see things that my students are up to.
Well,
yeah.
The stupid teacher, what a fucking idiot. Oh, yeah.
True. Whole other time.
There are sometimes parents who call me up and they're like, "Did you see what that kid posted on TikTok?"
No, and I don't want to. Please do not call me at this number again.
Now exactly.
I hate
Anyway,
to do that. I hate
my work out of this.
We should wind this down a tiny bit here.
Yeah.
We've got Mags Muggins, my niece, is coming on in about 5 minutes.
Nice.
And I'm loving this conversation. I'm loving all of this. Do we feel like what did we get? What did we get out of this, folks? What did we learn? What's our overarching situation we just learned? That we're old boys?
Catharsis.
TV is good for you?
Yeah,
We're not good at staying on topic.
Animation is good for you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, animation is good for all ages.
And shows that like can actually bring a family together, right?
I like that idea. Yeah, I don't think I really had that when I was a kid. My parents didn't watch anything with me, so that's an admirable thing to watch things with the fam, right?
Agreed.
We not an animated show, but when things went crazy back in March, we just started binge watching with our kids Doctor Who.
Oh, nice.
The nightly show with our family, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just walked through this and we'll get through this, and you're probably could have watched it twice over by now.
Yeah,
I guess
6 episodes a season or whatever.
So true.
We may have to go back to like old school episodes.
Oh man, you can find the classic episodes like all together. We've got them. Yeah. We started watching them. We got through like the first 2 seasons.
They're long.
Yeah,
they're long.
Oh, the ones with like Patrick McNaughton, like all the old, the first Doctor and the second Doctor.
Yeah, the first and the second Doctor, and it's a little brutal. It's just like really, it's a BBC production, and C, no, I skipped something. No. Anyway,
you skipped B.
Yeah, so,
it's in your TARDIS. It'll come back later.
A, Q, and B. It's kind of the same. Oh shoot, I was going to say they were all filmed back then in like with oneers, like just one camera following around. And I love watching old films. Even now, the techniques of a lot of directors are brilliant when they do like long shots. And we have a few favorite directors,
like 1917.
Oh yeah, 1917 is great.
I haven't seen that yet. I've heard it's really good.
There's only a few cuts in it. You can see where the cuts are, but it's brilliantly directed and choreographed.
Yeah, there's 4 cuts in the entire film.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's those oneers are awesome, and I can point out like Danny, I was hoping that you and I would even do an episode just on oneers. I'm a big fan on this. Well, here, let's do this, boys. I'm gonna wind things down. We're streaming again tomorrow morning, and you guys, the 3 of you are invited. We're streaming all the way through the night, 24 hours.
I skipped it.
Let's be very clear about this. And you tomorrow morning we're going to do we'll probably go on lots of tangents as well, but the focus is going to be a bit on a 90s celebration. But maybe things change between now and then, but that's kind of where we're going with this. The 3 of you are invited back, and we might have some other people as well.
Thank you.
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. our time, PST. We're going to go a little longer tomorrow morning. Today was only a couple hours, but tomorrow we might do 3 hours. So feel free to pop in at any time. Okay. You're the 3 of you have carte blanche. You can show up at the time, or you can show up halfway through, or you can show up whenever. Pop in, and I think that'll be awesome. Cool.
Yeah, we'll be
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Is it onesies tomorrow morning as well, then, or not?
Whatever you
I
want.
hope so.
I'm going to be naked by then, I think.
Actually, Ferdy, I got this. Ferdy, this is for you.
Oh,
what?
Oh my God.
Freddie Mercury.
Oh, hot space. Nice.
Hot space.
Wow.
Body language. Body language.
Amazing.
Your birthday.
Okay, I'm gonna let you
Okay.
guys go.
Thanks so much. It's been
I'm
fun.
gonna get you guys out. And,
Thank you guys.
Danny and I. So cheers, guys. Thanks
See
so
you guys
much.
tomorrow.
Bye bye.
See you.
Bye now. Make that donation.
Oh yeah. Good call. Thank you.
Are we doing that?
There you go. Hey.
Oh my gosh. That was fun.
That was phenomenal. I enjoyed that so much. Get rid of that banner there if you don't mind. Or you got it? Yeah.
I got it.
Got it? Nice. Dude, that was a lot of fun.
They got a lot of knowledges. That's for
Yeah.
sure.